Okay. According to our next guest, when we look at businesses today, regardless of their industry or size, we see the growing trend of tearing down informational silos. And this is a good thing because the less division that stakeholders have in their data, the greater visibility into all aspects of the business for everybody involved. So an increasing number of companies are seeing the value in providing suppliers with visibility into their quality and compliance system and are thereby reaping the benefits of true collaboration. Using the cloud to share this data is critical to this process. And here to discuss leveraging the cloud for supplier management is Ben Mack, pre-sales engineer at EtQ Incorporated. Hello, Ben.
Hey, Mike. Hey, Dirk. How are you two doing?
Oh, pretty good. Well, before we get started, just tell us briefly, what are the major differences, besides one being in the cloud, between, let's say, a cloud-based supplier management system versus a kind of a legacy client-server private network model?
Well, I think you hit on one of the key differences in that question, and that's the virtual private network. It's difficult to extend that collaboration and your processes to external personnel when everything is controlled internally. So security is probably the biggest differentiator between a cloud and an internal type of environment. And in my opinion, the second key difference would also be the administration, the responsibility, and the experience. Managing your IT, your security on a virtual private network is drastically different from managing it for a cloud-based system where external personnel are expected to interact with it. So it's just a matter of making sure that everything is still secure internal to your organization, but still being able to extend your processes and gain visibility into the data from your suppliers.
And you mentioned security. Before we get into security, let's look a little bit at some of the benefits of this kind of system. So, I mean, how would a cloud-based, let's say, corrective and preventive action system help with supplier-related issues? And maybe you have an example of that.
Sure. Well, I think the most basic example is being able to extend your supplier-based corrective actions directly to the supplier. The cloud-based system allows you to extend that process to have them interact and collaborate directly with you. To only manage the part of the issue at hand that they are responsible for, that is relevant to them, to their role, and to be able to achieve a more real-time type of collaboration on that data. So being able to identify an issue, as the example that you referenced, at the time of receipt of a material, you find a problem, an issue during the inspection, you're able to immediately initiate the supplier corrective action if the supplier is indeed at fault or is presumed to be at fault, be able to notify, to incorporate their feedback immediately because of the interaction with the cloud portal, have them interact with just the relevant portions of the process, but be able to achieve all this in real time.
Okay. So Ben, talk about security a little bit. Now, I know you mentioned that, but what does that actually mean, and what does it entail for a supplier in terms of using these systems?
Well, it's quite a bit different. Whenever you have an internal system, you could potentially allow the external personnel, the suppliers, to interact directly with that system. However, there's a number of key security precautions to be aware of so that they're only able to see what is relevant to them and not more of your internal data. And so the cloud type of solution allows the best of both worlds, where you have a system for your internal management processes, your internal compliance efforts, and then if and when applicable, interact with the cloud portal, the supplier systems, directly through the cloud. So you're completely segregating the two systems. Each one is secure in its own right. You're not ever allowing the suppliers into your internal. You're just simply sharing the relevant pieces of the information on an as-needed basis.
Well, talking about sharing, I mean, I would imagine that some suppliers, at least, are fairly reticent, either for security reasons or other reasons, to willingly, basically open up their system or open up their data to anybody, including one of their customers, to look at their data. How do you convince suppliers to willingly use such a system besides just saying, hey, look, if we're going to buy from you, this is what you're going to have to do, our way or the highway. What is in it for them? How do you convince them that this is a good thing?
Well, I think the same benefits that a company is attempting to reap through this type of real-time collaboration and an extension of processes is what they would gain from it as well. Nobody likes email, working with email, exchanging files through that. It just causes all sorts of slowdown, miscommunications, missed details, and so on. Being able to achieve the real-time collaboration is not just a benefit to the company, but also to the suppliers. Being able to interact and process whatever details they need to gives them that comfort level as well that things are being taken care of. Not only are you improving your supplier quality, but they're improving the quality in terms of what they provide to you as well.
And I'm assuming that in systems like this, that let's say I'm the company, it's Quality Digest, we got a bunch of suppliers, that I can get some consistency in how the data is supplied from, so that all suppliers are supplying me the same type of data in the same format through some sort of templating system. I mean, is that reasonable to assume?
I would assume so as well. I think that would be the strongest benefit, is to standardize your processes when you extend it, so everyone is operating on the same foundation, on the same level. One supplier knows that they're not being treated differently or having to go through more work than another one. Everyone has the same overall approach, benefit, and ultimately the solution is to generate a better product in the end.
Okay. Well, if anybody's interested in more on what we've just been talking about, the supply chain and mitigating supplier risk through the cloud, we do have a webinar coming up on this next week, May 5th at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific, and it is appropriately called Mitigate Supplier Risk Through Cloud-Based Quality Management Portals. Ben is going to be the subject matter expert on there, and I'm going to be hosting it. So if you're interested in this, and I think a lot of you probably are, you all have large supply chains, I know a lot of our customers do, be sure to tune in for this webinar. It's free, and you can just get to it by clicking on the article link down below, and within that article there is a link out to the registration page.
Sure is, yep.
So be sure to join Ben and I next week, May 5th at 2 p.m. Eastern, 11 a.m. Pacific. Ben, thanks for joining us on the show this morning.
Thank you both. I look forward to the webinar. I'll talk to you then.
Okay, see you, Ben.
Thanks, Ben. See you then. Good stuff. Yeah, and I think a lot of people are interested in the supply chain. Absolutely out there. And
like we said, the supply chain is, it's a global world, and almost everybody, to some extent or another, is extending their supply chain outside of their own community. Even.
Yeah.
So.
And using the cloud is important, and security within that is really, really important. So real good stuff. So check that one out again. It's Tuesday coming up. The link's in the article below, and we'll send you an email on Monday as well to make sure that you get it that way too. So check that out on Tuesday. Okay.